Good evening and welcome to the channel's studios here in London with your international news around the world in 5. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky says Kyiv will respond to Russia for this and all other attacks after Russia launched another wave of strikes on Ukraine. At least 4 people were killed overnight, and Ukraine's air defense forces say the entire country is under threat of a ballistic weapon attack. It comes a day after one of its biggest air attacks of the war. On Monday, 7 people were killed and dozens more injured after more than half of Ukraine's regions were attacked by drones and missiles. The United Nations Secretary-General Antonio Guterres has said that big polluters have a clear responsibility to cut emissions or risk a worldwide catastrophe. The Pacific is today the most vulnerable area of the world, he told the Pacific Island Forum leaders meeting in Tonga. But eventually the surging seas are coming for us all, he warned in a speech at the forum, as the UN releases 2 separate reports on rising sea levels and how they threaten Pacific Island nations.
The world must look to the Pacific and listen to science. This is a crazy situation. Rising seas are a crisis entirely of humanity's making. A crisis that will soon swell to an almost unimaginable scale with no lifeboat to take us back to safety. But if we save the Pacific, we also save ourselves.
The US soldier Travis King, who fled from South to North Korea before returning home, will plead guilty to desertion and other charges, that's according to his lawyer. The army filed 14 charges against Mr. King for the illegal crossing in July 2023. He plans to enter a guilty plea to 5 charges, including desertion and assault, as part of a plea deal. His plea and sentencing hearing will take place on the 20th of September at a military base in Fort Bliss in Texas. Japan has accused a Chinese spy plane of breaching its airspace in what would be the first known instance of such a direct violation. Here, a photo of the Chinese Y-9 surveillance plane, supposedly violating the territorial airspace of Danzhou Islands on Monday. Japan's chief cabinet secretary called the breach utterly unacceptable. In a press conference, Foreign Ministry spokesperson Lin Jiang said China had no intention of invading the airspace of any country. The incident comes as tensions rise in the region where China competes for influence against the US and its allies, including Japan. The Prime Minister of the United Kingdom has warned that October's budget is going to be painful. In a speech in Downing Street, Sir Keir Starmer said the Labour government had not just inherited an economic black hole, but a societal black hole as well, and that tough decisions would have to be made when the budget is announced.
Morning.
The Conservative opposition party said the speech is an attempt to distract the public from the promises Mr. Starmer made that he never had any intention of keeping.
Now, next week, Parliament returns. The business of politics will resume. But it won't be business as usual, because we can't go on like this anymore. Things will have to be done differently. We will do the hard work to root out 14 years of rot, reverse a decade of decline, and fix the foundation.
And 15 years after an infamous backstage fight split the band up in Paris, Oasis have announced they're getting back together for a tour next year. This teaser appeared on the band's X account. 11 seconds long, the clip shows the date, 27th of August 2024, before flickering to 8 a.m, all in the font of the style of the band's famous logo. Meanwhile, Liam posted on X the cryptic, "I never did like that word former." At 8 a.m. this morning, it was revealed the band were reuniting for what they called a world tour in 2025. Tour dates in Cardiff, Manchester, London, Edinburgh and Dublin will take place between the 4th of July and the 17th of August next year. It's been 15 years since the brothers played their last gig together, having broken up after a fight in Paris. Oasis are one of the best-selling bands in British history. For many, they're the band that defined the 90s and changed the face of rock and roll. And that's your international news around the world in 5. Now back to the channel's studios in Lagos.